tell, I am very much brown and very much a Muslim. And what the people in the back can't tell is that I have a nose piercing, which in most cultures represents a woman coming of age or reaching maturity. I didn't really care much about the meaning behind it. I did it because I grew up watching my mom wear it, and I grew up watching a lot of beautiful women of my ethnicity wearing it. And it reminds me of my culture, reminds me of my ethnicity, and how close I want to be to it. So living in translation, meaning that I belong to neither here nor there, meant that I was exposed to a lot of different cultures, a lot of different people from different cultural backgrounds. And that taught me that every culture in this world has a side that you can appreciate and a side that is completely toxic and that you might want to ignore. So what really is culture? Culture is the behaviorisms that a certain community, a certain group, a certain society follows. And what culture am I from? Well, I'm originally from Bengali ethnicity, but obviously, like I said, I am living in translation, so I haven't experienced my culture to the fullest. But in most cultures, your social class, your reputation, your status says a lot about you. And in my culture, even my skin tone says something about me. Now, it is no surprise that in both Asia and outside Asia, there are certain beauty standards that most cultures have put in place and that people feel pressured to follow. In Asia, these standards are in the form of having light skin, and in the West, these standards are in the form of having more tan skin. But we're all doing it, we're all lightening our skin, we're all darkening our skin to basically feel the same way, to feel beautiful, because that's what we are told, that this is the only way you can feel beautiful, and if you're not this way, then, well, that's just it. Like, we've created boxes, right? We've created an ugly box and a beautiful box, and if you belong, you have to belong to either one. So the problem with this is that skin bleaching epidemics in Asia have become so bad that these skin bleaching creams, these skin bleaching products, pills, procedures are unregulated, experimental, and very, very dangerous. So why do we still push these standards then? Why do we still tell our men and our women to follow this toxic behavior? It's because we encourage this toxic behavior. We encourage this toxic behavior when we tell our men and women that they will not be able to find a desirable life partner because they are not of a particular skin tone. We encourage this toxic behavior when we use derogatory or racist slurs in our everyday lingo, not understanding how we are offending people who are of different skin tones but belong to the same community as us. And this has a really, really, really bad effect on our self-esteem. Now, self-esteem and mental health is really, really, really stigmatized in our culture and in a lot of cultures. But that is changing now. Mental illnesses they have become less of a taboo subject now, and people are opening up. A lot of people are learning about the psychology behind mental health. A lot of people are learning about how they can be more considerate, and that's what we should do too. We should be more considerate towards the topic of mental health. We should be more considerate towards people who suffer from mental health. We should be more considerate towards families who take care of their family members who have mental health. Because in our culture, the problem is that mental illnesses make you look weak. Because in our countries, it is very, very, very important to conform and to never lose face. But again, change is happening. A lot of the youth now are well, looking at the psychology behind mental health, but also even better, and I'm so happy to see that some of my friends are pursuing psychology-related careers, and to pursue a career to help other people in cultures where even speaking about mental health is a taboo is amazing. And if you take a quick look at this table, you can tell that in most Asian countries, Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, per 100,000 people, there's 0.13, 0.3, less than even one psychiatrist available, not enough nurses, not enough social workers, not enough psychologists to reach out to, let alone talk about mental health. Now, it's no surprised that human rights issues are a big problem in Asia. Among these human rights issues are domestic abuse, honor killings, and child marriages. And when you look at the statistics behind these problems, you realize how much bigger they are and how much attention they actually really need. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced, at least once in a lifetime, have experienced domestic abuse in their lifetimes. And in America, every single minute, 20 people are abused by their intimate partner. And that was probably the craziest statistic I've ever heard in my life. So what more can we do? What more can we do rather than telling people to come out about it? The problem is that domestic abuse is so stigmatized that a woman feels ashamed of talking to even another woman about it. So talking to other people, talking to a larger audience is hard. And domestic abuse cases are one of the most underreported cases in the world. So who knows how much more these statistics can surprise us and how much worse they can get, right? So the Asian film industry, the Indian film industry in particular, being the most popular not only in Asia but in the world, it usually promotes a lot of colorism and romanticizes and normalizes sexual harassment, domestic abuse. But in 2018, the Indian film industry, more popularly known as Bollywood, released a movie called Padman, which highlights the problems that women in rural India face because of the lack of access to sanitary pads. Now, women hygiene, still a big taboo in most cultures, a big taboo in my culture. I felt the need to appreciate this, no matter how much I may hate or I may dislike the Asian film industry, or how much I may think that they promote certain things. We still have to appreciate that they have come out on such a large platform to talk about women hygiene, something that is hardly ever even spoken about amongst people in our cultures. But even then, the movie was banned in some countries due to cultural appropriation. But people started talking about it, right? Even if it's being banned, it's still a controversial issue. And people started talking about, yeah, women do really need healthy, healthy mediums to express themselves and to break the taboo on talking about our bodies. So we are breaking the silence. We are stopping the violence. We are doing, in our abilities, in the best of our abilities, we're doing whatever we can. We're watching movies like this, and people are seeing that this is more of what we want. We want people to break out of these cultural norms, because even if it is so ingrained in our culture to not talk about something, doesn't make it wrong to talk about it, right? So, in the 19th century, a very famous German sociologist and psychologist, Karl Marx, suggested the idea of alienation, and that there are 4 kinds of alienations. The first alienation is when you feel detached from your nature. And that can be seen when we go back home and we still suffer from culture shocks. Because, again, living in translation means that you're still not living your culture to the fullest extent. The second one is alienation from work. Now, alienation from work means that you don't feel satisfied with the work that you do. You feel that you are being productive but not creative, and that kind of makes you lose your sense of worth, okay? And this can be seen in the way we pursue high-paying jobs for monetary advantages, but we don't really enjoy what we do. The third kind is alienation from other people, and this can be seen in the way we lose empathy, we lose compassion, we lose our trust in other people, because we're always trying to one-up each other. We're always trying to be competitive. We're always trying to see who has the bigger car, who has the bigger bank account, who has the more extravagant wedding. And in that, we lose our trust in people. We lose our ability to maintain relationships. The last one is to feel alienated from yourself, to lose your sense of worth so completely that you forget to feel compassion, you forget to feel love, you forget to feel empathy. But the good news is that humans are wired for compassion. Evolution says that humans can regain connection. So much so that when rats are shocked, electrically shocked in laboratories, they feel worse. They feel more hurt when they see other rats, when they see their fellow rats being shocked, rather than when they're shocked themselves. So we can feel love, we can feel empathy, and we can feel compassion. So let's do that. Let's feel that for our people. Let's promote that. Asian culture consists of a lot of things. Asian culture consists of great music, art, history, architecture, politics, religions, and it's amazing how we can come together. It's amazing how we are so large in number and that we are the biggest continent in the world, yet sometimes we create this division and animosity between ourselves. Now the thing is, yes, culture is toxic. Yes, every culture is toxic, not just ours. But when that new Bollywood movie comes out, when that new Hindi movie comes out, we're all there. We're all there. The cinemas are filled with people, every shade of brown. Even Arabs come to see Hindi movies because we've got subtitles, we've got you, no problem. Because that's how powerful culture can be. And that's the extent to which we can come together, and that's what we should be doing. No matter how oily our food is, right? Even if our food has the entire world's supply of oil in it, it still tastes amazing to us because it reminds us of our culture, it reminds us of our home. So it's amazing how one aspect of a culture can break apart a community and another aspect of a culture can bring people together like that. Take weddings as an example. We go to these really fancy, extravagant weddings and we say, oh, look at how materialistic society has become. Look at how much money they feel like they have to spend on this, on that to impress other people. But when the music comes on, when the bride comes in, we're dancing, we're singing along. So we can come together. We have created division and animosity between ourselves, but we can. We can feel love, again, we can feel empathy, and we can feel compassion. A lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of women feel pressured to be either this or that, because we tell them that men can either go this way or that way, and there is no in between. And let's not turn this into a gender debate, because we put just as much pressure on our men to act like men. Because to be a man means to financially provide and to keep working and keep tiring yourself out, no matter the detrimental effects on your mental or physical health, because you have to keep providing for your family financially. You have to exert your power over other people, whether that's physically or mentally, and that's what it means to be a man. But is that what every man in this world is supposed to feel like, or is that what we're telling them they're supposed to be feeling like? Both our men and women are being discriminated against in our cultures. And that is something we need to recognize. That is something we need to realize. That is something we need to fight against. And pictures like these are really, really, really powerful. When we finally realize that we have been so restricted by culture, and when we finally realize that we can break out of this, and when we finally realize that just staying quiet, just being ignorant, is not enough. Because when you ignore it, when you let it go, you let it grow. In most Asian families, if not all Asian families, your family's honor is everything. Growing up, I was told that my family's honor, my family's reputation is everything. And that's what every other South Asian kid is told, honestly, that whatever you do will reflect your family, and that whatever you do will be judged by other people. So think twice. Think once about what other people will say, and then think about how maybe you can derive some sort of satisfaction from it. But the problem with this, the problem with log kya kahenge, the problem with what will people say is that we use it way too often for way too many things. We use it for when we want to speak out on really, really important topics, like the taboo on mental illness, women hygiene, and domestic violence, we say, log kya kahenge? We say, what will people say? Because it makes us look weak, and it makes us not conform to society standards. Again, society standards. So what will people say? Log kehte rahenge. People will keep saying, if today people are talking about this, tomorrow people are going to be talking about that. And I know it's not easy. It's not easy to follow your gut instinct. It's not easy to say no to something that has been going on for such a long time. It's not easy to just say follow your gut instinct and say no. But we have to start somewhere, whether that's in protests like these, or whether that's in our households, saying that log kehte rahenge when someone says log kya kahenge, saying that people will keep talking when you're hit with the what will people say. Growing up as a South Asian outside South Asia, I've learned that there is this side of my culture that I can't ignore anymore, that I was well told to ignore, but I can't ignore anymore. And then there's this other side, this beautiful side, the weddings, the music, the literature, that I appreciate and embrace. Otherwise, well, I wouldn't be wearing this nose ring right now, yeah? Because it's representative of my culture. So what needs to change the most? There are a lot of local organizations in countries like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and so many other countries that are passing laws, carrying out marches, protests, pressure groups that are willing to cross limits, to cross cultural limits, and so much more, to pass laws on domestic violence, medical professionals that are coming out, speaking out on mental illnesses, because that's what we need to be doing. That's the reform that we really need. The legal reforms, the medical reforms, the reform needs to happen within us. The reform needs to happen within the attitudes that we have towards people, because that's what needs to change the most. I don't want you to walk out of here today thinking, oh, I belong to such a toxic culture, there's absolutely nothing that I can be proud of, or absolutely nothing that I have to show for my culture. That's not the point of this. The point of this is that we have to stop ignoring. We have to stop ignoring the aspects that we are always told to block out of our mind. We have to stop ignoring issues of domestic violence, because it's extremely prevalent, too prevalent. We have to stop ignoring the way we use offensive terms, the way we offend other people within our own communities, how we are offending people within our own communities and bringing them down. That's what needs to change. There must be a change in the way we treat other people. There must be a change in our ignorance. There must be a change. Thank you for your time and patience. I am Maryam Islam, and this was why your culture should not decide your fate.